Um, a quote that I recently read is what inspired me to speak on this topic. And I will elaborate more on the quote a little later. Right now, I would want to speak on an important subject matter, especially for those of us who are practicing Krishna consciousness. And also, it is very much related to to our past, to the event, the Vaishnava event that we have on a calendar, the Vaishnava calendar today. It is the appearance day of Srivas Thakur, I guess. And there are so many wonderful narrations in the Chaitanya Bhagavat and Chaitanya Charitamrita related to Srivas Thakur. For most of us, we are aware of the history of Srivas Thakur. He is one of the members of what we call as the Panchatattva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who has appeared in a fivefold form. The Panchatattva, the Supreme Absolute Truth that has appeared in a fivefold form. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Nityananda Prabhu, Gadadhar Pandit, Sri Advaita Acharya, and Srivas Thakur. So Lord Chaitanya is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, and his expansion is Lord Nityananda. So Lord Chaitanya is not different from Lord Krishna. Lord Nityananda is not different from Lord Balaram. And Advaita Acharya is the incarnation of the Lord. He is the expansion of the Lord. So he is non-different from Mahavishnu and Sadashiv. And then we have Gadadhar Pandit, who in Chaitanya Leela is non-different from Srimati Radharani. And finally, we have Srivas Thakur. Srivas Thakur is the incarnation of a devotee. And amongst all the wonderful devotees who are eternal associates of the Lord, one of the most prominent ones is Narada Muni, and Srivas Thakur is non-different from Narada Muni, the perfect devotee or the incarnation of a devotee. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has exhibited his pastimes predominantly in two places. One is in Bengal, in India, and the other is Odisha, in India too. And these are neighboring states presently, in present-day India. Bengal is a land in the laps of Mother Ganga, and Odisha is related to the ocean. The entire state of Odisha has on one side as its border the ocean, the Bay of Bengal as we call it today. And it is also the land of river Mahanadi. So this river Mahanadi and the ocean are closely associated with the pastimes of Lord Jagannath. And Mother Ganga, along with her various tributaries, the Saraswati, which is also called as the Jalangi or the Jamuna, and so many other tributaries, She is closely associated with the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya in Bengal, uh, especially in the nine islands and the neighboring area. The nine islands, the city of nine islands, or the territory of nine islands, is called as Navadvip. So Srivas Thakur is associated with Lord Chaitanya in both places. Other than this, Lord Chaitanya also has given his mercy by visiting places in South India, and then on the way to Vrindavan, he visited Varanasi and Prayag and so on and so forth. A bulk of Lord Chaitanya's pastimes in Navadvip has Srivas Thakur performing services for the Lord. So a large part of Lord Chaitanya's Leela in Navadvip involves Srivas Thakur. Today we'll just focus on one of those pastimes, which would justify the topic that we have chosen for today. In the Puranas, there is the story of a Brahman and a crane. A crane, it's a bird that has a long beak, large size, so crane. And actually, the story is also in the Panchatantras, actually. So one of the Niti books, the books that teach you valuable lessons. So according to the story, a Brahmana, being a well-wisher of all living entities, was a close friend of a crane. The Brahman was a simple-minded person, very humble, with little wants, generous, and always remembering the Supreme Lord. In the association of the Brahman, the crane was also very much influenced by the nature of the Brahman. However, a crane, which is also called as, in Bengali, called as bagala. A crane very intuitively is duplicitous. Typically, that's how in the ancient times, the ancient stories would describe cranes as. Why is there duplicity in the crane? Because the crane is a fish eater, subsists on fish, on eating fish. So the crane will stand in shallow waters of a pond and wait for the fishes to come near to it. So it appears it is non-moving. So from a distance, it appears as if the crane is meditating or is in deep meditation, like a sage. And as soon as some fishes are within its range, it immediately lunges forward to catch one or more fish in its beak. The fishes or the fish are not really aware, or they kind of get misled as the crane is very stationary and does not make any movements. So therefore, whenever there is a charlatan making the presence of being in meditation, then in India, such a person, a charlatan, is called as a bagala or a crane, duplicitous. So the crane became very straightforward and very much honest in the association of the Brahman. And this made the crane go bankrupt, because now the crane lost its art of making some money in this world, lost its art of subsistence, of survival. So the crane came to the Brahman and he said that I'm facing this problem in life. So you being my friend, please help me out. So the Brahmana, he said, all right, I will do so. Since the Brahman was himself had very meager or no means of livelihood, would just subsist on whatever would be received through alms, through requesting people to give food and other necessities. So on his own, the Brahman did not have any means to help the crane. However, the Brahmana had told the crane that he would help him. So he shared a confidential secret with the crane. He said that in the forest, I have some friends. They are from a different clan, different species, called as Rakshasas. Basically, a Rakshasa is a species of is that species that is never satisfied how much ever they eat, and there is no restrictions on what they eat. So they eat whatever they can, and they are still always hungry. So that is what is a Rakshasa. So they can be man eaters too, and they are meat eaters. However, they are powerful beings. So the Brahman had, this Brahmana, being a friend to all, was also a friend to the Rakshasa clan, to this particular community. So he said that once they told me that they knew certain mantras, they knew they had some special techniques, mantras, which could make one very, very wealthy in life. And since you have lost your means of livelihood, why don't you go to the Rakshasas, to the Rakshas community, and please ask them that, tell them that you are my friend, and uh, most probably they will share that mantra with you. So the crane goes into the forest, and as soon as the Rakshasas see the crane, they want to eat the crane. But the crane immediately shouts out that I am the friend of such and such Brahman. And the Rakshasas, they immediately welcome the crane, and they are very friendly towards the crane. And they ask him that, what is the purpose of your visit? And the crane says that such and such is my problem. Um, so my friend, the Brahmana, he sent me to you, and I need your help. Please share that mantra with me. The Rakshasas did that. They shared the mantra with the crane. Now, as soon as the crane got the mantra, the crane knew that he could be the wealthiest person in the world. This is where his previous nature kicked in. The crane wanted to be the only rich person in the world, and therefore was not happy that the Brahmana could also know the mantra. So the crane goes back, it is quite late in the evening, and murders the Brahman. So the Brahmana is dead. The Rakshasas have special abilities. They have mystical abilities, mystical qualities. One of their mystical abilities is that they can see things beyond normal vision. So they have supranormal vision. So they immediately realize that the crane has killed the Brahman, and they're exceedingly angry. So the entire troop, the entire huge crowd of Rakshasas descend on the crane, capture him, and thrash him up. And then they say that actually you deserve to die. We are Rakshasas, we eat whatever we see. We really don't have any restrictions on what we eat. However, even as Rakshasas, even as man-eaters, we have a code that we follow. We never eat the flesh of an ungrateful person. And you, crane, are so ungrateful. But you need to be punished. So we will take you to our cousins. These, our cousins, they do not have they do not follow the codes that we have. So they are, amongst the Rakshasas, they are cannibals. So we will hand you over to them, and they will eat you up. So they go to their cousins who are unrestricted in their eating habits. They have no codes at all. And they tell them that this crane is food for you. You all eat up this crane, and we'll be very happy. So the cousins ask them that, why would you not eat up the crane? And they say, because this crane is an ungrateful person. And they tell the entire story of how their friend, the Brahman, was killed and murdered by the crane. So their cousins, they were very much taken aback, and they said that we cannot eat this person too. We cannot eat this crane too. And So the Rakshasas were completely shocked that why would you? I mean, what happened? And they said, well, actually, we have absolutely no codes amongst us. No, absolutely, we have no norms, no rules except one. And that rule is that we never eat an ungrateful person. We never eat the flesh of an ungrateful person. So the moral of the story is that an ungrateful person is no one's friend. An ungrateful person is really looked down upon by all different species of life. Being grateful is always possible even for a miser. However, being ungrateful is unacceptable, or it is not really um, all kinds of people understand ungratefulness. Even if one does not have any moral codes in life, even such people understand uh, ungratefulness, and they do not want to be a part of it. No one wants to be associated with an ungrateful person. In fact, an ungrateful person doesn't have a single friend. Because untrustworthy. So, gratitude is not just a wonderful gift, gratitude is an opportunity. Many times in life, there are many challenges. And it seems that being grateful could be a challenge. But a wise person has said that gratitude can never be a challenge. Gratitude is not a challenge. Gratitude is a matter of choice. Because one does not need much resources, or actually, there is not any resources needed um, to be able to express gratitude. Just the very fact that we are alive is sufficient, or we are breathing is sufficient to be grateful in life. And because we breathe every single second, we have the choice to express gratitude every single moment. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the third canto, Lord Kapiladev, he is having a discussion with his mother, Mother Devohuti. And therein he says, Yene drisham gatimaso dashamasisha sangrahita purudayena bhavadrishena svenaiva tushyato kritena sadina natha ko nama tat prati vinanjalimasya koryat yene drisham gatimaso dashamasisha sangrahita purudayena bhavadrishena. This is a prayer, or this is an expression made by an entity which is seemingly unbelievable. Sometimes we find references in scriptures, or we find um, descriptions in the scriptures that really astound one. And this is one such description. The translation in English is, "My dear Lord, By your causeless mercy, I am awakened to consciousness. For this causeless mercy of the Supreme Lord, the friend of all fallen souls, there is no way to express my gratitude but to pray with folded palms, folded hands. Dasa Mas, 10 months. The Srimad Bhagavatam reveals through the words of Lord Kapiladev the prayers expressed by a 10-month-old embryo. And in fact, there is a suggestion therein that this may be a prayer offered by every single embryo in the womb of its mother. Now, typically, we know that in the human species, a normal delivery is any time after 9 months of pregnancy, which typically means that in the 10th month of conception. So, the actual date of conception may be a little difficult to really estimate. Hence, typically, it is considered to be that particular month is not taken as directly as the month of conception. So 9 months, since what medical science says could be the probable date or month of conception. So in the 10th month, or after 9 months are over, in the 10th month of conception, there the embryo finally can appear outside the womb of the mother through what is called as birth. So within the womb itself, the 10-month-old embryo, Dashamas, Isha, is praying unto the Supreme Lord. That's astounding. If a 10-month-old embryo that is within the womb of its mother has the capacity to express gratitude unto the Supreme Lord, then we can accept that it is very much imperative and it is very much possible too for all humans to express gratitude whenever they can. It is a facility that all of us have. And if you're not able to do that, then it shows that we have an intensely miserly heart. Like we have this like super miserly heart, a super miserly attitude. We willingly and consciously refuse to be grateful. And just a very thought of it seems so very unacceptable. To some, it may be disgusting. To some, it may be abhorring. People may abhor this idea that one would never want to be grateful. How is that even possible? So we understand that being grateful is an opportunity. It is a choice to be made, and making choices or being able to make a choice need not be seen as a challenge in life or as a difficulty in life. Making choices need not depend on the external circumstances. Making choices is an expression of who we are. Being grateful is an opportunity, or it is a facility to express the right choice or an acceptable choice. Recently, I was reading an article about a person that had spent about 30 years in prison on a false accusation, being involved in a very gruesome crime. False, when I say false, it meant that there was, it seemed that um, circumstantial evidences were being framed to make him an accused. Nonetheless, the circumstantial evidence was strong enough to have him convicted for 30 years. And 30 years on, the Supreme Court released him. The person was on the death row. The Supreme Court released him as the case was again re-evaluated, and the evidence was found lacking. 30 years. So this got some, this news made some presence in the media. And the person was asked to appear for so many interviews or talk shows. On being asked how he felt after being released from prison, after spending 30 years in prison, one of the statements that was there in the article, one of his statements, the inmate's statements was, "One does not know the value of freedom until it is taken away. People run out of the rain. I run into the rain. I'm so grateful for every drop just to feel it on my face." Now, this may be an ordinary sequence of events. This may be an ordinary scene from day-to-day life, or we could read deep into it. We could look into this statement from a Krishna conscious perspective. That many times it feels that one needs some private space away from service to Krishna. Sometimes there's the idea that we can have some vacation time. Typically, when we are very much caught up with the nitty-gritties of the practice of Krishna consciousness, do this, don't do that, don't do this, the rules and regulations, and the inner emotions of those of the practice that we are having, the emotional connect is not as deep, is not as motivating. So then there is the idea that, yeah, let's have some vacation time. However, when we realize or when we see that how old age, disease, and death actually are keeping us bound, and we actually and we can feel or we can relate to the experience of advanced saintly personalities who have had freedom from these vagaries of freedom from these travails of material life. They are experiencing, these saintly personalities are experiencing an existence beyond the clutches of disease, old age, and death. Although the body is still caught up in it, they are experiencing a life that is beyond old age, disease, and death. Then their words are similar, that they never ever want to be away from Krishna. My dear Lord, the very thought of being away from you is devastating. Those are their words. Because they know the true value of freedom. And when we give up our misconception of freedom in this world, what is the misconception that we have? The misconception is that the body can actually provide enjoyment eternally. That is a misconception that we have. So when we are able to overcome that misconception, realize that the body is simply a means to achieve eternal happiness on the platform of the soul. Atma Triptasya. When we experience self-satisfaction, we no longer are dependent on external things for satisfaction. Then we are grateful for every single drop of that experience. We are grateful for every single moment of the experience of being connected to Krishna. So, anyways, so a friend, the person who was convicted, had that to say. And in one of the interviews, as a follow-up question, the anchor asked him, "Are you not angry that they took away 30 years of your life? How can you not be angry?" And the answer given was really very, very revealing. The answer was, if I'm angry and unforgiving, then they would have taken away the rest of my life. So that is what gratitude helps one have. Yes, there have been so many events that really need to be addressed. Some of them are, and in certain people's lives, some of these events are so gruesome and they are so very punishable that they need to be addressed. So I'm not wanting to negate that. I'm not saying that one should just um, show the other cheek to someone that has hit you on one cheek. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, um, the expression of gratitude opens up doors that would otherwise remain closed. Doors to a different realm, a different level of existence. And if carefully studied, those levels of existence help you live this life a little better. And also, for those of us who believe in life after death, it helps us have hope or believe in a better life next time too. So why let anyone or why let events control our lives, just wallowing by just wallowing in, or just remembering all that is very much negative in our lives? We can address those negativities. If needed, we take whatever moral or legal help or moral or legal steps that are needed. However, we are careful not to let these events or the aftertaste of these events prevent us from living a fuller, a better, a more harmonious life in the present. And this is what gratitude gives us, this opportunity. Another wise saying in this context is gratitude makes sense of our past, brings peace for today, and creates a vision for tomorrow. It helps us make some sense of our past. That could be our perception. It is not necessary that we need to make that a universal perception or try to explain to others, just for ourselves. It makes us have some sense of our past, give us some explanation to why certain things happened. Makes us peaceful in the present. It brings things to a closure, resolve it, and it creates a vision for tomorrow. There is a greater hope for tomorrow. What kind of hope? Another beautiful story that I read a few years ago was a person who helped a blind man. So there was a blind man um, sitting on the side street in a crowded area with a sign put up that I'm blind. So please help me. And so people uh, with those passers-by whose heart was or whose emotions were at that moment, at that given moment when they were passing by this blind man. When they um, passed this person, because at that particular moment they were open to the idea of understanding the blind person's situation. They reached forward and they offered some coins as donation. However, we know that on any given day, the stats, if you look at the statistics, then it won't be a large number of people that would, at that moment, be open to giving donations. Especially if they see that there's a blind person. I'm not saying that people are bad. I'm saying that there are so many things that affect our emotions at any given moment. So the most giving person at a moment could also kind of oversee this opportunity. It's quite possible. So there were not many people who are offering donations. One passerby comes by and offers a few coins, and then picks up that sign, turns it around, that board, turns it around and scribbles on it and puts it down. And before the blind man could ask him that, what did you write? He leaves, or she leaves. He doesn't really know whether it's a he or a she, a passerby. All of a sudden, he finds that more and more people are approaching him and offering him coins. Towards the later part of the day, um, the blind man, who has very acute hearing, realizes that I understand, I have heard this, the sound of these shoes clicking on the pavement before today. The reason being that he realizes that this could be the same person that had in the morning scribbled something on my board. So acute sense of hearing. And that thing stuck, who is it? And therefore his mind focused on the sound of the shoes clicking on the pavement. So when the shoes come and stop, or when it seems to the blind person that the shoes have stopped moving and the last sound was made right in front of him, he looks up, sensing somebody to be there, and says, are you the same person that scribbled something on a board today morning? And he said, yes, I did. What did you write? Because after that, I find many people are open to helping me out. And he said, well, I wrote the same thing that you wrote. However, I used different words. You wrote, I'm blind. I cannot see. I wrote, it is such a beautiful day. Please enjoy it, for I cannot. I'm blind. And this story, obviously, the person who, for the first time, I have told this story, maybe it's an anonymous author, maybe someone, I'm not sure who the author is. The story helps us understand what gratitude does. One way to look at this story is about to see the effect of having a grateful heart. When people realize that they have something that someone else doesn't have, and they are made aware that they could be so grateful for it, then that awareness of gratitude wants them to share what they have with those that don't have it. And we can see that in the lives of so many saintly personalities, including our very own Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada was so grateful to his spiritual master. He was so grateful to the Supreme Lord, to Srimati Radharani. And that made him want to share this knowledge with the entire world, so much so that at the advanced age of 70, he took this arduous journey on the Jaladuta for 2 months over the Atlantic, through so many storms, seasickness, couple of heart attacks. And then we find that poem that he wrote on the Jaladuta, Markine Bhagavad Dharma. If translated from Bengali to English, it would be the understanding of the absolute truth for the American people, or for the land of America. Markine Bhagavad Dharma. And the rest is history. Today we are, as members of Iskcon, we are well aware of the miracle, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness that Srila Prabhupada brought forth. So someone has rightly said, when we focus on our gratitude, the tide of disappointment goes out and the tide of hope and love rushes in. So there is hope, and it is hope that also comes hand in hand with generosity. We want to share. Where there is hope, we want to be a part of it. We want to do something about it, and we want to share because it is so good. So that is a grateful heart. Furthermore, in today's times, the times of social media and cryptic messages and uh, so many images. If we were to represent gratitude wherever and whenever it is expressed, then it would be a happy smiley face. In fact, we would see that the expression of gratitude would paint a happy smiley face on everything that it touches. Now, in Chaitanya Leela, Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, before he took sannyas, Lord Chaitanya had inaugurated the congregational chanting of the holy names in the courtyard of Srivas Thakur. So Srivas Thakur had a big house and a huge courtyard. In Bengali, a courtyard is called as an angan. So this is Srivasa Angan. And that is where he, Lord Chaitanya, inaugurated the daily chanting of, or the daily congregational chanting of the holy names of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Every day in the evening, all the devotees would come together in the courtyard of Srivas Thakur, and there they would have this chanting and dancing. So there would be melodious chanting of the holy names, Sankirtan, and then there would be all the devotees dancing in ecstasy, in happiness, in joy. And this would go on for so many praharas. This would go on for the entire night, through the night into the morning. And only when the sun would begin rising on the eastern horizon would the devotees grudgingly end this wonderful Sankirtan, this wonderful festival of chanting and dancing at Srivas Angan. However, Lord Chaitanya had a caveat. He had instructed Srivas Thakur that only those who are free from material desires can participate in this kirtan. And that was a very, very grave instruction. Srivas Thakur was very careful not to allow anybody who did not qualify for kirtan. And since it was only the company of devotees who had very, very clear consciousness, Lord Chaitanya would be extremely happy. And he, along with Lord Nityananda and Advaita and other devotees like Murari and Vakreshwar and so many others, Shuklambar, they would all be there chanting and dancing with Lord Chaitanya. One day, towards one of the one particular part of the kirtan, since it was a huge courtyard, from one particular corner there was a commotion heard, a small commotion. Uh, and it was being noticed by that section of devotees. Srivas Thakur happened to be close to that area. This area was very close to the house. So there was the house of Srivas Thakur and the outside courtyard. And because of these social norms of those times, the ladies would stay inside the house and the male members would be outside in the courtyard. So Srivas Thakur noticed noticed that there was some disturbance, and Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda were um, in another part of the courtyard and seemingly unaware of this disturbance. So Srivas Thakur decided to address what the disturbance was. So he goes inside the house and there he realizes that his only son and only child, Srivas Thakur had one son who was a teenager, was about 14, 15 years old. So that and wonderful, wonderful child. So his only child, his only son, had died. Natural death. And his wife and other ladies were crying and they couldn't stop sobbing. This was heartbreaking. He comes in, he realizes that here an untoward incident has happened. And outside Lord Chaitanya is dancing. So Srivas Thakur, he takes a decision. He tells the ladies that they need to keep quiet or they need to lower down the volume of their anguished cries so that the Sankirtan outside is not disturbed and Lord Chaitanya's dancing is not affected. He said that it seems that the child is dead. And there's, you cannot call 911 now anymore. It was clear that no amount of medical help could do anything, change the situation. Obviously, in those days, we expect that the medical facilities may not be as what it is today. However, the point was that this is finality, for the child. The child is dead. So he says, he tells them, I understand you want to express your sorrow, and it's normal. Control it or keep it very low. I don't want your sound, to interrupt the Sankirtan outside, especially the dancing of Lord Chaitanya. And his Srivas Thakur's, we can from a very neutral perspective understand that now only the rites had to be done, and that could be done, after some time too, after a few hours too. So his intention of trying to not interrupt the Sankirtan was not abnormal. It was all right. However, he being the father of the child and still wanting to go ahead with the Sankirtan expresses his understanding of the philosophy of life, his desire to serve the Supreme Lord and serve the devotees. That is what it expresses. That how powerful is his desire to serve the devotees, to serve Lord Chaitanya. And also, it also explains his keen understanding of life and death. Srivas Thakur, he told his wife and the other ladies that the child is dead and there's nothing that we can do about it. And there's Sankirtan happening outside and the Supreme Lord himself is involved in the Sankirtan. What more auspicious situation would we need? This is so auspicious. And therefore, let this auspiciousness continue. So we see that he is being considerate also. He's not being inconsiderate. And at the same time, he is also expressing this deep commitment or his uh, very intense service attitude towards the Lord and his devotees. The Supreme Lord, Lord Chaitanya, being the Lord, he's also his expansion is the Lord of the heart, the Paramatma within the heart, understands that there must have been an untoward incident. The dynamics of this pastime is very, very interesting. The Supreme Lord, who's a knower of everything, only understands that an untoward incident has happened. And this is the power of devotion. The power of devotion is that, or the power of our devotional service is that Krishna becomes mesmerized. Tad aham bhakti upahritam ashnami prayatatmana. There's so much of stress put by the acharyas on the word ashnami in the Bhagavad Gita, in that verse. Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachiti. Tad aham bhakti upahritam ashnami. Ashnami, ashnan means to eat. This is a very active process. Eating is an active, it is an activity in reciprocation to hunger. Eating is not just an emotional expression, an expression of emotion or an expression of one's mental status. No, it is an expression of the senses. Eating, you eat, you consume something uh, um, because you are hungry. And the Supreme Lord says that the only subject matter that can make him hungry, the Lord who is beyond hunger, becomes hungry just due to one subject matter. And that is tad aham bhakti upaharitam ashnami. In order to eat, to accept, or to devour, you can use that word, although that word is a very strong word, to consume, to completely take in the devotion that is being offered unto me in the form of the fruit, the flower. It creates hunger within me, and accepting that devotional service, accepting that devotion that has been offered, satisfies the hunger. So the offering of devotional service creates hunger within the Lord, and acceptance by the Lord satisfies his hunger. This is the dynamics of bhakti. This is the how bhakti is played out between the servant, the master, and the act of service. So powerful is devotional service that Lord Chaitanya understands that something untoward has happened. And why does he understand something untoward has happened? Because his devotee's life has been affected. Srivas Thakur's life has been affected. Srivas Thakur is considering the fact, or is considerate of the fact, that his only child has passed away. And he is happy that the passing away has been in the presence of the Lord's holy names. So there is the understanding of the child's passing away, and that is that experience that the devotee has is noted by the Lord. And then there is the happiness, or there is the resolution that what better way of leaving one's body than when the holy names of the Lord is being chanted. So that is the resolution of that. So this feeling of emotions, or let us say this expression of what Srivas Thakur is going through, is is being felt by Lord Chaitanya. And therefore he stops the Kirtan and he calls Srivas Thakur and asks him, has any untoward incident happened in this house? And Srivas Thakur says, my dear Lord, wherever your lotus feet are, nothing inauspicious can happen there. So the Lord accepts Srivas Thakur's word verbatim. He is satisfied with Srivas Thakur's statement. And he again continues on Srivas Thakur's insistence. The Sankirtan continues, and the Lord stops it again and he says, I can feel it. Srivas, has something untoward happened. So the Lord can feel what Srivas Thakur has been through. But Srivas Thakur is trying to keep that away from the Lord, or his understanding of the philosophy of life and death is overpowering the event that would normally affect any parent. So it is overpowering that. And the Lord is not able to access, or it seems within the pastime, according to the dynamics of this pastime, the Lord is not able to access that. Or he is not wanting to access it, whichever way you take it, the Lord's desire. So the Lord has that information because he's the all-knowing Lord. He is not accessing it because of him being the independent Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then we see how the pastime plays out, how the pastime reveals, unfolds. We can see that. After about 2 praharas, which is like 6 hours, sometimes the English translation says 7 hours of kirtan, when the dawn arrives, some devotees inform Lord Chaitanya that Srivas Thakur's son has passed away. The Lord says when, and they say about 2 praharas ago, about 6 to 7 hours ago, and the Lord is so shocked. In fact, the Lord is more devastated than Srivas Thakur. He says, where is the child? And then he sees the condition of all the ladies. So he goes to where the child is, the body of the child is laid on the bed. And the Lord revives the child, and the child comes back to life. And the Lord asks him, where did he go? And the child explains that, my dear Lord, my karma played out. This was the duration of time that I had to spend in the house of this great devotee. I was extremely fortunate that I could see your lotus feet. And now, according to my destiny, I have to go wherever my destiny takes, wherever the fruits of my previous activities take me. I'm sure that it will be auspicious because I have seen, I have received the mercy of your lotus feet, and I have received the mercy of your great devotee Srivas Thakur, my father. So now kindly let me leave. And then the child lies down back on the bed, and the body becomes lifeless. When all the ladies of the house and the other devotees see this happen, their heart is relieved. They already know that the body is going to die. The body is fallible. They know this. It is just the affection that they had for the child that was making them feel some kind of guilt that, oh dear child, we did not do enough for you. And when the child expresses that, by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, the child expresses that it was all according to the child's karma. So that kind of brings closure it kind of helps heal them from this feeling of guilt. That the child's destiny and their responsibility was all properly done. The child's destiny is taking the child to its future destination, and their responsibility as parents was done. However, Lord Chaitanya is still amazed that Srivas Thakur would not would want the kirtan to continue, and he would not want to disturb the Lord Chaitanya was amazed that Srivas Thakur would not want him to be disturbed in his chanting and dancing. So, because of that, the Lord was so overwhelmed that in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, Vrindavan Das Thakur writes in Bengali very beautifully the Lord's um, expression of his feelings. He through his words, he expresses the Lord's heart. Eshab Shanshar Dukha Tomara ki daya E tomare dekhe sah Kabhu nahi paya Ami Nityananda Dui Nandana Tomara Chitte Tumi Vitha Kichu na Bhaviha Ara. The translation is, the miseries of material existence do not affect you, even one who sees you is not affected by such miseries. Nityananda and I are your two sons. So you should no longer feel any grief in your heart. Mm. Here we see the Supreme Lord who is performing his pastimes as the son of Mother Sachi, who has performed beautiful pastimes as the scholar Nimai Pandit, as the sannyasi Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is expressing gratefulness towards what Srivas Thakur has done. And when we say a magnet for miracles, the topic, the reason I was inspired to choose this topic is because I read a quote which was very inspiring. And the quote is, "A grateful heart is a magnet for miracles." You see here in the pastime, it is so wonderful. The Lord is overwhelmed. The Lord states that one who sees Srivas, and Srivas Thakur is not affected by material existence or the miseries of material existence. So one who sees him, who is imbued with this quality of being unaffected by the miseries of material existence, all those who see him are also not affected by such miseries. Srivas Thakur himself is grateful that Lord Chaitanya is performing Sankirtan right when his own son is destined to leave the body. He is grateful for that. His gratitude is being reciprocated by Lord Chaitanya, who is being grateful to. So he says, Srivas, please don't feel grief in your heart anymore. Your son obviously has departed to another destination. However, you shall not be childless. I and Nityananda both are your two sons. So the Lord is not just offering himself to Srivas Thakur, is also offering Lord Nityananda to Srivas Thakur as his son. And that is the miracle that a grateful heart receives and also shares with the world. The benedictions of hope, of love, of having aspirations beyond our imagination, or being able to see what we can aspire for beyond our imagination. And therefore, in Krishna consciousness, we try to be grateful for all the gifts that we have received, for all the wonderful blessings that we have received. And we try to share that with others to whatever extent we can. So a grateful heart is a magnet for miracles. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Are there any comments or questions at this point of time?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you very much for your wonderful presentation and reminding us about gratitude. What a wonderful attitude. It's such a nice thing. So perhaps maybe now we have a few minutes for some questions, reflections, realizations. Devotees, at the bottom of your screen, there is a reactions button. Feel free to raise your hand if you'd like to say something. Click that button and we'll take them in order. We have Surendra Prabhu first, please.
Krishna Prabhuji, it was very, very nice class, and I was just thinking a few months ago when one of the brahmachari from Iskcon Delhi said this, and the gratitude actually is one big thing hidden in that, is that the blessings come basically. As soon as you express the gratitude, the blessings are just flowing towards your way. And he was telling a story. Basically, he was narrating in Hindi, and what he was saying is that if you have to stay alive in a spiritual life, you can only survive based on blessings. And then he said that especially blessings from older mothers who are very simple. And he was telling that there was one Mataji, she was probably towards the older side, and I forgot what was her need, but he satisfied that. And the older lady was also very satisfied. And he said that Tum Ajivan isi vastra mein raho. He was a brahmachari, so she said that, throughout your life, basically, you stay in this saffron cloth. So that was the blessings he received when she was very satisfied, whatever she was in need. I don't remember. So the gratitude is actually a very important thing, and it can easily be expressed if our life is not complex. And if our need is very well defined, and a simple life, that's why Srila Prabhupada says simple life. And I personally feel that if we are simple, the gratitude is just always on your lips. Because you don't think for personal benefit or nothing. You want to finish right there. Give and take kind of. Thank you very much for this.
Thank you so very much. Thank you for the wonderful reflection.
Thank you, Prabhu. Are there any other comments or questions? So maybe if I could maybe ask one question, Prabhu. So you have some practical tips for us to cultivate this attitude of gratitude. Something that we can apply every day, because we want friends, right? We don't want to have no friends, right? We want to be happy. We would like blessings, and we want all of those things. So are there some tips that you could give us that we could include in our day-to-day activities?
Krishna Dalal Prabhu, you are definitely quite qualified to answer your own question, and I'm sure that you are already practicing this. So are so many other devotees. Practical tip for most of us, maybe every day when we wake up, we can express gratefulness for having another opportunity in this body to serve Krishna, to remember Krishna. And at night when you go to sleep, we can remember at least maybe 5 things or 10 things. Maybe write it down to express thankfulness. It could be as simple as I'm so thankful that I have natural oxygen to breathe, especially with this pandemic and lockdown. That we can relate to that so much. So every day, if we can count those blessings, we can be thankful towards the end of the day and sleep. Have a good sleep with a thankful heart after expressing gratefulness. And in the morning, be grateful for having another day where we can use the present body with the present memory, and with it's so very nice that we can retain our memory. We can retain, we don't have to relearn. It's not another birth in another body, so we don't have to relearn. So it's so nice that we can use all of that to serve Krishna right from let's say the moment we wake up. So there is no relearning required. That's so wonderful. And everything else, if we read Srila Prabhupada's books, we can fill up the rest of the day with whatever else we need. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Wonderful. Thank you. Gaura Prasad Prabhu is making a comment here. He's saying, gratitude unlocks fullness of life is a wonderful quote. Yes.
It does, yes.
Thank you so much. Once again, it's so nice to see you, Prabhu. I've seen you at Surendra Prabhu's house a few times. You've come to Ottawa, and now we have the good fortune of having your association here at the temple through Zoom. And we hope that we can also soon one day have an in-person association of yourself. And thank you very much. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. And thank you, dear devotees, for your kind attention, your good questions, your participation. And we have a few minutes before we close the curtains. And as custom has it, we usually finish with a little bit of kirtan. And as Rohinipriya